The Clippers are entering the season under a different narrative than they've been accustomed to for the past few years. For the first time since the pre-Kawhi era, no one's expecting much of them. Is it possible that they're being overlooked and underrated? Let's take a look. The most notable roster move that the Clippers have made this offseason hasn't been an addition. Instead, it was a massive subtraction. Well, two subtractions if you include Russell Westbrook. But at this point in his career, I don't think he really qualifies as a massive subtraction, does he? Paul George is the much more significant loss on paper. He left in free agency after signing with the 76ers. And Paul George actually wanted to stay. The reports indicate that PG was trying to negotiate an extension all season long and was even willing to negotiate off the max. He said that he just wanted the same amount as Kawhi Leonard, which seems fair. Leonard's the more talented player when available, but that's a pretty rare circumstance. On top of that, it almost seems irrelevant since the Clippers don't need to choose between Kawhi and George. George had basically earned a contract that he was viable for thanks to his on-court performance. But the Clippers didn't want to give it to him even though he put up really solid numbers, especially as a shooter. Why didn't they want to extend George? That's a good question. Especially because it's a financially secure organization that was seemingly competitive when healthy. But at age 34, the Clippers didn't want to extend Paul George for 4 years, which makes sense, obviously. Most players' performance declines by their mid-30s, and it might have been a more prudent move to just cut George, who has a history of injuries, loose, and let him become someone else's problem. What's their plan, though? Are they just going to waste the rest of Kawhi's years on the team? Doesn't seem that way. They extended James Harden to a contract with far less term than George was demanding, and maybe Harden's the better player. He was during his prime, and is only 1 season older than George. He's actually been far healthier than George through his entire career too. So the signing sounds like it comes with lower risk. However, league perception seems to be that Paul George is a great team player and James Harden is a locker room cancer. But we're going to dispute that. Neither player's ever won a championship, but James Harden has come closer. Actually, Kawhi Leonard and James Harden have 2 of the best regular season records of any players currently in the league. Kawhi Leonard's winning percentage when healthy is .727, the highest of any player currently in the league. James Harden is extremely high too, though, higher than legends like LeBron and Durant during the regular season. Wildly impressive. And I actually don't like the narrative that he's not good enough to win a championship or that his playing style isn't built for playoffs or any of that stuff. Sure, it's easy to point to history and state that Harden has a track record of underperformance, but he has accumulated plenty of experience and has evolved his game into a more of a point guard than a scorer. He has plenty of positive attributes. Great size, high IQ, can shoot and pass, and is an incredible finisher around the rim. If we look at the situation objectively, James Harden remains healthy and is a decent candidate to perform in the playoffs. You know he wants to as badly as anyone in the league right now. James Harden and Kawhi Leonard are both prima donnas, let's face it. But maybe they'll mesh as a pair. Honestly, I kind of see it. Even though he sits out more games than he plays, Kawhi has a long history of getting along with teammates, even when he pisses off coaches and management. I think Tyronn Lue might be able to handle the situation if both guys are healthy come playoff time. And they have a few underrated role players that could make a larger impact with added playing time. An obvious candidate to see an increased role is Norman Powell. The 31-year-old actually won a championship with Kawhi back in 2019 when both players played in Toronto. The fact that he was brought in to play for the Clippers indicates that the 2 former Raps must see value in playing with one another, and it's clear why. Powell's a lights-out three-point shooter. Almost 40% accuracy throughout his career, but last year he shot .435, even higher than George. Powell put up those numbers in a bench role, and we wouldn't be surprised if he got the starting nod this year. We know James Harden loves playing with shooters that don't demand the rock, and there's more talent in LA than just Norm Powell. Bones Highland is a guy that we like too. He was pretty bad last season, but he's still young and shows a lot of upside. Highland will be 24 by the time the season starts. Perfect age to finally break out in the league. He's another guy loaded with skill that might just need a bigger opportunity. His counting stats aren't great, but if you look at his per 36-minute stats, looks like there's something there. Close to 20 points, 6 assists, and a decent three-point percentage too. Maybe Bones Highland will be a guy that can handle the rock a little more now that George is gone. Terrence Mann's another energy piece still on the team, poised to continue contributing in his same role. The Clippers have some interesting vets, too. Ivica Zubac is a massive rim-running center that can't set screens, rebound, and defend. The Clippers brought back Nicolas Batum, a veteran that they had to trade away in the James Harden deal, who recently helped France reach the finals in the Olympics. They also still have PJ Tucker, a defender and corner shooter with a reputation for being a good teammate. He has chemistry with Harden. And they also brought in some size and defense in Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones. Dunn had the best year of his career with Utah last season. A big defensive point guard who has struggled to stay in the league due to poor shooting, but the last couple years, he's actually been really solid from three. A former lottery pick. Jones, on the other hand, just helped the Mavs get to the finals in a rotational role last season. A great athlete that can get way up above the rim. Is it possible that the Clippers won't be as bad as we think? That'll probably come down to health. If they're healthy, and don't get me wrong, that's a massive if, then they might not regress as much as many people think they will. But we want to know what you guys think. How will the Clippers perform next season? I don't even want to speculate on their health, but how do you think James Harden will perform in his first full season there? And who's going to come in and take the lion's share of the shots that Paul George has taken for the last few seasons? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more sports news and insights. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.